Hello. Welcome to Earth 2 KimiCast, where comic books and comic book TV is the norm. That's right, folks. KimiCast, I took over. It's my show now. Mo was just falling off, so I'm doing my own thing now. So today we are joined by one of our regulars, Anthony.
Did the poison work? Is Smoke gone? No plan? Did I
We'll,
admit that on national? Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
and we have a newcomer, someone I've totally never met before. We got Kris.
Hi guys. I'm
So
so glad to be here today. Um,
Hit him with it, Chris. Just hit him with it. They
I'm
can take it.
just
They can take it.
I'm
give
just
them
so excited.
all of that audio chocolate.
Oh, well, I gotta be chocolate though.
Because everybody loves a little bit of chocolate.
I'm
All
not
right.
doing this with you tonight. I'm just not. Okay, but before you change to your regular voice, can you just say, Tito, bring me a tissue?
Tito, bring me a tissue.
Okay. So Mo is running late, so we're just gonna go ahead and kick things off without him because people got stuff to do. The national debates are on tonight. There's a
Oh,
drinking game
politics.
involved. Yeah. So
There was a drinking game involved.
there's
So
always a
what? Regular voice. So wait, what are we drinking to with the debates?
I don't know yet. We'll have to figure that out. We'll figure out something when somebody shit, when somebody
Man
says
already got
racism
us.
or something.
Every time
Um
they mention Trump,
Did I
yeah.
win yet?
Oh my gosh.
death.
Okay, so tonight we are here to talk about Amazon's new series, The Boys.
The boys.
Um, since this is Mo's show, I did not prepare by looking up the synopsis, but I guess I could like do that right now. Uh, totally professional. Okay, so the synopsis: when superheroes abuse their superpowers instead of using them for good, the boys embark on a heroic quest to expose the truth about the seven and vought and conglomerate that covers up their dirty secrets.
Mm,
So, I guess what Mo usually does is he goes around the room to see what everybody thought of this. Mo,
Yeah, what's up?
he
So
lives.
hey,
I am alive. How's it going?
They
Chris.
gave you a driver's
Chris.
license. What's
Wow.
wrong with this country,
Wow.
man?
Wow.
are you
I haven't
potting while
even I
driving?
haven't even been on here 5 minutes, Anthony. Can you give me 5 minutes?
Okay, 5 minutes.
Yeah, just 5 minutes. Anyways. But yeah, Keem, go on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Nah, it's. I mean, I already let everybody know this. This is my. Look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now. It's my show now.
hey,
Uh,
hey.
so you're just in time because we were about to go around and find out what everybody thought of the series as a whole before we kind of take it apart and talk about the other stuff.
Okay.
So I guess we'll. You know what? We're gonna start
No.
with the new guy.
No.
Yeah, nah, you late. You late. Late
Mute,
people don't get to
mute him,
start first.
Keem. Mute him. Can't keep his mouth shut.
So you start with the rookie. All right.
Let's start
So
with the rookie.
in a world where superheroes are marketed. Okay, no, seriously, in a world where superheroes are marketed like Instagram thoughts and models and stuff, it's um it's a really cool take. It's pretty much fu. Wait, can we curse on here?
Oh yeah.
Can we
Fuck no.
curse on here? Can
Why?
we curse? I'm sorry. This is not mine. It's Keem's. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's basically a fuck you to I guess capitalist America where everything is money, 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 money. And I really like the take. It's
Money.
one of the one of the better shows regarding superheroes in a while because it's it's not just about effects and let's blow shit up and whatever. It's pretty much a good backstory on everybody. Like a character that you think is a complete asshole, somewhere along the lines, you're gonna be like, "Oh damn, that's I see why you're all fucked up." Even some characters that you're like, "Man, fuck that guy." They find a way. They find a way to make you feel, "Damn, I kind of feel bad for him," but no, still fuck that guy. But overall, I think it was really done. Cinematics were great, special effects. Even though they don't have the greatest budget, they don't have that Disney budget, but it was well done. It wasn't too much, but it was just enough to keep the superheroes grounded and show them that these are superheroes. They can fly around, they can fuck shit up. And the villains, pretty much is a story from the villain side. The villains, which are the heroes of the show, are very well done. It's good to see that kind of perspective of a show. And Kris out.
Cool. Anthony.
Um, so if I just take it as a show, I see why everybody likes it. I think that it's pretty new for the mainstream to see this take on superheroes. I think even if you're not new to this, it's really well directed. They have some really charismatic actors and characters in this. Even the characters you don't like to like, that aren't heroes, you kind of like you get kind of a nervousness about what they're about to do and like how far it's gonna go. Um, I really like it because when Man of Steel came out, I remember having conversations with a lot of younger people about how, well, Superman got to take people out every once in a while, and Superman got to kill, and and that's just realistic. And it's like, no, you don't want a god that thinks they're a god that can do anything they want, because then you get this. And it's a really good deconstruction. I think I have some problems with it because originally a story like this was done by White Wolf and Aberrant back in like the late '90s, and then the boys picked it up. And I think they changed it. I would think their inspiration came from that. And there's a big departures from the comic book. The show is not as funny as the comic book, or as gruesome as the comic book, or as graphic as the comic book. And I see why, if you're going to translate the comic book, like, you couldn't they wouldn't be able to do stuff like that on TV for a lot of things.
Not in
So
2019.
not definitely not now. So but I would say this is that I do encourage people, if you like this show, there's YouTube channels that'll break down each volume of the comic. It's not that long, and if you like this show, you'll really enjoy going to the comic book source.
Cool. Moses.
Okay. Real quick. So, Anthony, thank you for saying that, because what we're gonna do, what I'm gonna do with myself and Kyle later, I don't know, maybe if you want to do it, we're gonna actually go through the comic book volumes, and because what we like to do on the channel is, okay, there's a comic book show, then there's a comic book that accompanies it. There's a comic movie, there's a comic book that accompanies it, and we like to go through the source material. But honestly, I do like the departure from the source material, because this is not in 2019. You don't want to stay that faithful to the source. I mean, I love the source. I love the source, but I also like what they did with the actual show. Otherwise, I love the show. I love how it's kind of like Anthony said, when you look at Man of Steel and you want that realistic, that gritty, that dark. Oh, Superman doesn't have to be, or Superman should be, or can be. You get this, and it's like, wow, did you really want Man of Steel to look like this? I mean, even though this is its own property, and it takes, of course, you know who these heroes are, quote unquote. You know who they kind of like mirror, but it's a view that I think we need to see with these properties, but it takes the pressure of using our beloved characters like Superman and Wonder Woman to do that view, because I think this view is necessary, but it's not. You don't want to use those characters, and this gives you that, and that's pretty much why I enjoyed it, because again, I can understand, looking at Homeland and fuck him.
Oh,
You
I don't
just
give a
brought
shit
up a
about
really
him.
good point. This is like the newer Watchmen. You know how Watchmen couldn't use the
Yeah,
DC
yeah,
characters, had to use some off, like, make up their own
yeah,
to do that story.
yeah.
This is that's a good point.
But no, I honestly loved it, and I can't wait to see what they cook up next, and I'm excited to talk about the comics and further break it down.
Awesome. Um, I guess I will be the short-winded one of the group.
Sorry.
I know. You good. Nigga, it's your show. What? Don't apologize to me. I really enjoyed it. If for nothing else, the sheer gruesomeness of it, the sheer detailed gore that I was not expecting. Yeah, just like from the first few scenes of just actually the first scene of seeing, and I guess would be the time to say this is going to be extremely spoiler heavy. So if you haven't watched the series yet, you probably shouldn't watch this yet. But just from the beginning, when the girlfriend just
got obliterated,
just splatters, and I was still sitting there trying to figure out what the fuck, what just happened here, what, and then you see him like holding her arms, but then you just see all of like
the rest of her,
all of the entrails, just like spinal cord laid out on the ground. Like I was like, oh, okay, so Amazon. This was good enough where I'm now not as upset with Amazon for canceling the Tick. Because they've given something where.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Sorry,
Wait,
man.
the Tick is canceled?
Yeah,
Yep.
I guess you could drink to that.
The fuck?
I hate that you had to find out this way.
Right.
Right. You could take a shot to the Tick, or
You know, if y'all all didn't just time that, and I know Mo can't plan anything like this, I would be like, y'all fucking with me. But
oh wow,
oh,
Nah, it's done.
it is.
why?
Yeah, it's done. I mean, it didn't get the viewership. I think it didn't get what they were looking for. This probably would give them what they're looking for because it feels like with the characters. They feel very mainstream, but they still feel like offshoots of the mainstream characters. I guess the Tick. I love the Tick. It's out there, but I think it suffers from the same problem the old Tick shows suffer from. They just can't find their audience.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like a niche audience. Like pretty much, who outside of this room saw the Tick?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, if this Tick can't get it, I don't know what kind of Tick would get it at this
Right.
point.
Yeah, at this point.
Wow. We always
Wow.
have Spoon.
Spoon.
Are we pouring one out for the Tick right now? Pouring out for the Tick.
Pour
Yeah.
one out.
Nigga, you got carpet. You better not.
Right. I pay for this house. It's my property.
Okay, so I guess can we kind of run down the different superheroes in this show and talk about who they were loosely based on?
Injustice.
Yes.
Yes.
Um,
So we'll start with Homelander.
Homelander is a deconstructed Superman in a way, an homage to the Superman and Captain America icons, especially back in probably the early incarnations up until probably the 80s of like Truth, Justice, and the American Way type of thing, where you're paying homage but also having that corporate like corporate sponsorship going on, where you wouldn't be surprised if you saw. Remember Mystery Men, where their Superman had all the decals of different like I touched the heart. Remember Mystery Men?
Mystery Men is my shit.
Right? And he had the decals of the different corporations that sponsored him over them. You could almost see that in this world. Like actually, you could probably see Mystery Men in this world, really, if you think
This
about
was
it.
very Mystery Men.
Yeah.
Just done better.
And then you feel like he has this public persona, and as we're finding out more and more now with social media and a lot of, you really can't. It's not back in the day where you could present this public image and then have a CD passed or be an a-hole off screen because someone's going to clip that on a camera. And that's what this reminds me of a lot. Like if Superman was really an asshole.
Yeah. I think when I first saw him, and Kris was like, "Who does that remind you of?" And I was like, "Everybody." Like he's just like a Captain America, Marvel, Superman. Like they just threw them all in there together. Like this dude is gonna be the ultimate. So I was kind of hoping this page I pulled up was gonna go through all of the heroes, but it doesn't. So
Side note that in the comics, he is considered the most powerful superhero in the world. He by a large margin. That there's nobody that can do anything to him. Yeah, as far as he knows.
They kind of hinted to that here.
Oh yeah, they did kind of hint to that, but I think towards the end, she's when what's his face goes, Carl goes in to see the lady, and she goes, there's no weapon or no one can hurt him. I think she was kind of telling us that. So yeah, it kind of got hinted to.
yeah, with the GPS on. So who was translucent? modeling after.
So translucent. So wasn't in the comic. He was actually it was supposed to be a guy that was modeled after Martian Manhunter, but I guess their special effects budget didn't cover all the Martian Manhunter's thing, so they kind of just threw him in there instead.
See.
Though Martian Manhunter can turn invisible, so that could be an homage to one of his powers.
I didn't even think about Martian Manhunter. That's
Yeah.
a good point.
I just thought about budget.
Yeah.
Thinking about the
Right.
fact that he can like hard. He's hard. I thought he was what's the lady from the X-Men? I thought he
Kitty
was
Pryde or Colossus?
Frost.
Frost. Emma Frost.
Emma Frost.
He can harden his skin when he decides to,
Like
you know,
Diamond,
like Diamond. So I was like, okay, maybe a little bit of Emma Frost, but I guess the Invisible Man, maybe just to be safe.
I think he was budget.
Yeah, could have been budget too,
Definitely
because
budget.
he was barely. Yeah,
what an easy paycheck for the actor. Like, okay, just voice over this invisible scene.
Me and Kris kind of simul watched at different points, and the scene where he was in the cage, I was like, this is like the most budget friendly shit, because all you need is a cage, and then you can just point the camera at it and be like, okay, just sit over there and talk.
I like to imagine that the actor was some kind of diva that didn't want to show up to shoots, so it was like he literally just phoned it in.
Like, just put me on speaker. I got this. Okay.
So the character he replaced is called Jack from Jupiter, and he was a Martian Manhunter replacement, but they didn't have the budget for him. I guess.
Jack the Jupiter. Okay.
Jack from Jupiter, like the Martian Manhunter.
Like Martian Manhunter.
Jack from Jupiter.
maybe
Nice.
Jack could be in the next season though. I mean,
They get more of a budget.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. I'm actually disappointed I didn't see Lamplighter in action.
yeah,
And they
that's
kept talking about him.
Kind of wanted to see that.
So there's a reason I was really mad that they didn't get to it this season. Like this season, I feel like this was like a test. Like I feel like they were like, we're going to do 8 episodes to see how this goes.
So it's like the pilot season.
Right.
Yeah.
So who was A-Train?
The Flash.
Who could A-Train have been? Yeah.
I don't know. Batman?
Definitely Batman. No, I was thinking Robin.
Right, Robin. Definitely Robin. Definitely Robin.
you know what? I think Reverse Flash. And check it. I think Reverse Flash is because while Barry Allen I don't what Flash? Who's the most flashy Flash? Like when I say Flash, like who's like just like
Profile and
who's that Flash? Do we have a Flash that way? No, I think it's Reverse Flash. Maybe
Impulse, maybe?
Any of the Flashes?
it could be Impulse, but I 100% think Reverse Flash. I mean, because there's no way. I mean, then again, these heroes are not technically heroes or all the way heroes, because there's no way Barry Allen would have done what he did and said, "I can't stop." So
it gets even worse.
and he was on the drugs. So because he was doing drugs, again, I'm going back to CW. Forgive me, I'm going back to the CW show. There's that Flash on the show. What's his name? Godspeed. Godspeed actually uses V9, which is a drug that gives you speed. So I think he's Godspeed. In a way.
So
Wait, is Godspeed a hero?
No, Godspeed.
No. This is one of the many speedster villains that the CW has, because they have no other freaking villains for the Flash.
But these are all supposed to be like mirrored after, like they're the fucked up version of the heroes.
Right.
So
right. So this is the Flash, but it's the Flash with, and again they changed. I don't know if the comic book actually matters anything to this, but like they changed the comic book version of this, where he was a white guy in the comics who also, Starlighter. Like, so when she gets there, it's Homelander that says, "Give me a BJ," and then, but also, and then she's like, "But you're Homelander," and then she goes to tell one of the other members, and it's A-Train and Noir that's sitting there, and so she has to give all 3 of them hid, and then, but and so
shit.
One of the other things, but one of the things that's cool about that is A-Train is really immature. So like they'll be in meetings and he'll make blowjob faces or whatever. And so as the series goes on, she's like kind of a weak personality character, but then she comes into her own and she starts like giving jabs back, and she starts giving it back to him. And even Homelander is like, "Don't you do that in a meeting again?" Like, and like he can't keep up with her mentally, and she finds her power of her own. That's I was kind of disappointed that they put all that in like 10 minutes of the show instead of like this whole arc that was through the first volume of the comic.
They ain't
Again,
got no money, man.
2019.
Ain't
Again,
got no money.
2019.
Huh?
2019. You can't have a chick out here giving blowjobs to
To the
three,
whole
four super
room.
to the whole team. Yeah, that show
Man.
would have got canceled in episode 1.
But still, I miss the fact that A-Train, who kept using that he got a blowjob of sexual dominance over her, and then she finds her empowerment. Like she starts calling him like needle dick and like, and like,
No.
dude, that's the only
Yeah.
way. That's the only way a woman like a man. That's the only way a guy like you can even touch somebody like me. And how she gains more of her power. That all his little jokes don't even, and he starts feeling more and more inferior. And it's a really good dynamic of how your sexual history doesn't define who you are. And I get it. You can't have her give blowjobs to 3 of the team and
Right.
then in 2019, because they would have got past the first episode. You know what I mean? They wouldn't have waited all season for her to get her.
They definitely want to have, find women and female empowerment in other avenues rather than, oh well, you got a little dick. So I'm glad they expanded on that.
Right. It wasn't just that. I was just giving an example. Like she
Gotcha.
takes more of a lead where they try to make her wear a costume she doesn't want to wear like in the series, but
Mhm.
she decides and she finds more power to say no. Like they did in the show. It was really quick in the show. But I think I went ahead of myself. So
Yeah.
sorry.
But we're talking about the show. So
Yeah.
focus.
Yeah. A-Train, great. They gave him a backstory with a brother and everything like that, and that was cool. And steroids and stuff.
Performance enhancing drugs.
And the black guy runs fast. Yeah.
Wait,
I
and don't
saw
forget that he was raised in the city and he outran
Right.
a bullet. Like, wait, we can't speak about bullets. Let's
Yeah,
talk
didn't
about
have-
something else,
Didn't have a
something more
father.
uplifting.
Had to
Something
be raised by
happier.
your brother.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so who was Starlighter supposed to mirror?
I have guesses, but
My one guess is there's a character in the X-Men Dark Phoenix story. I think that is her. I forget her name real quick.
So you think they went Marvel with that one?
I really think they did. I mean, because
Is it Hope?
I'm sorry, what?
Is it Hope?
No. She's in a Dark Phoenix storyline. She's one of
Okay.
the. You know what? I'll look it up and I'll get back to you guys. But yeah, that's who I think she is. But honestly, yeah. Other than that, I have no idea who she could have been.
so there's a DC character called like Star Girl or something. She has the staff.
Oh yeah, Stargirl.
Yeah. I think that she's kind of a mixture of her, Kitty. You know how every superhero team has that wide-eyed youngster that joins the team and their art point of view into the thing, like Jubilee or Kitty Pryde
Right.
or Star. I feel like that's her, Supergirl, all that rolled into that. They also gave her super strength, which she didn't have in the comics, which was interesting to me. But yeah,
It's like they gave everyone super strength in this and
Right.
invulnerability.
yeah, which
All right.
is really curious because they didn't give the boys any of their powers.
Oh, so okay. No, I'm not going to ask that because that leads down a trail. So the deep.
The deep. No idea. Definitely Batman.
And then who was the last one? Black Noir.
So yeah,
Okay, that's definitely Batman.
that's definitely Batman, but they put him like way in the background, just silent figure.
Finally,
Mm-hmm.
put Batman where he's supposed to be.
So
I'm happy for it.
The
Yeah.
one with no powers.
Black Noir is, yes, we're all supposed to think it's Batman, but there's also in the next season we're gonna get the actual Batman, which they said it a couple of times, a character called Tech Knight. And that should be a very interesting story, but I don't think they'll be able to do that one either. Like, so I'm curious about how they're gonna clean that up.
Black Noir, and I know this is like kind of out of the realm of the shows we're talking about, but he really gave me a Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe feeling. Like
That costume was great.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because he ain't even really talk. Like he was just kind of in the background doing his thing.
And he was a ninja.
And he had all of his things. So yeah.
And I like how he came to like the piano scene where the guy was just playing and he sat down and like, oh,
Like,
it's gonna be a nice duet.
Like,
nah.
Fuck out of here.
And I even like how Homelander's like, and all of you been fucking up. Well, except for you, Black the Warrior.
You're good.
Right. Keep it up.
What has he done?
He's the Memphis Bleak of
Oh,
the 7.
Oh,
at least Memphis Bleak was loud.
Whole career.
But you know what?
One hit,
It was all
one
good,
fight,
just a kick up.
the whole show.
That's right.
That's true. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a crazy fight, though. It was a crazy fight.
All the fights were crazy.
Talking about Black Noir.
Black Noir
Yeah.
versus the girl.
Hardy.
So, oh no, go ahead. Yeah.
What tangent now? Go on.
No, don't you do it. Don't you? If you
No, he said it. He
reference
said it.
that fucking book again, it's an empty threat, but still.
Fine.
gonna-
Fine.
So, Mo, do you have any questions or anything you want to touch on?
Actually, not really. If I had a question, if I did have a question or something I wanted to talk about real quick, it would be. You see, I can't really do because I feel like you want to have this a flow to this because it would be like that. The what's his name? I keep forgetting Carl Urban's name, so I'm just calling him
Butcher?
Butcher.
Billy Butcher.
Yeah, Billy, like his backstory where he's doing this for this reason, and then you come to find out that this whole time you lived this whole existence of like this is why you hate him. Like, so my question ties more to the end, like how do they pick back up from that? It was a very crazy ending. It was a what the fuck ending, but I feel like this whole show has been what the fuck, so it doesn't even
So,
matter.
I had a question that tied into that, and I was talking to Keem about it. As to, so all this time he's like, "Oh, Homelander raped her," but did he really, or was she down for it?
Man, 3 hours, bro. 3 hours, bro.
But
Like,
that doesn't mean it can't be a 3-hour assault.
Yeah.
But
hey, nah.
But it did leave that question, like, so what happened?
yeah, because they left it very vague when she left out because she was disheveled and she looked just really worn. And
Yeah.
so that could have been from the trauma of being assaulted, but then that also could have been like
Let me
I
set
got
myself
she's
up.
just
Wow,
tired
I
from
lost
getting her
the
back
moment.
blown out for 3 hours.
Right.
I mean, they could have talked for maybe 2.
There
You know?
was an hour, there was 2.5 hours of discussion about
Mhm.
leaving her husband for him, and then
Some
I mean, I've had some
foreplay.
interesting 3-hour conversations before. We get comfortable, then you
Yeah.
gotta get your stuff back on. Right.
Playing cards.
Right. Uno's attensive.
discussing the Bible.
I mean, yes.
I mean,
they-
yeah. Genesis 3:21. I don't know what that is, but yeah.
So again, this is a major departure from the comics, and I don't really understand. So when you go into the boys, they've changed so much about the boys, is that I almost feel like they're almost unrecognizable in a lot of ways. Besides Butcher and Mother's Milk.
That name though.
Right. And I think that because now, let's say she was consensual and she ran away. That kind of takes your whole hatred away. You know what I mean? Like at least the focus of it. In the comic, all this stuff happened. The boys were already formed by the time they got Huey, and Homelander. In the standoffs they have, it's very clear that and they even talk about it. Like, there's no way the boys will stand up to the 7 in a fist fight. But because they have so much dirt, Homelander won't ever cross them. And Butcher keeps why he hates them. Like, there's a point in the comics where Homelander's saying, like, hey, what you did was that an attack against us because we got a truce. And like his dog like pisses on Homelander's leg and he's about to laser the dog. And Butcher's like, if you touch one hair in that dog, it starts now. And he's like, over a dog? He's like, over a fucking dog. And he's like, why did you hate me? You hated me back then when I met you at Mallory, and I never knew why. Did I kill somebody? Did I do something? And he doesn't know. And it kind of bothers Homelander for a bit. And it's just background mythos to what's going on that they just kind of, it reminds me a lot about Preacher. How, because Seth Rogen, I didn't realize this when I was watching it, when I said it the first time on our chat, but Seth Rogen did this again, right? He adapted this story. He was one of the producers of this, right?
He was one of the producers, but Eric Kripke from Supernatural was the showrunner, which makes sense with all how the humor is.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I think when you take away, I don't know. So far, watching Preacher, they've glossed over a lot of the emotional punches just to go to the gore and the shock value, which kind of lessens a lot of it for me, and I'm scared about that for the boys. And again, I like this first season. It's just you've glossed over so much of the where. Yeah, it's cool to see somebody get punched, but it means more if you know why they're getting punched. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like, though, they kind of went back with a few of the flashbacks, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So there's a slow reveal on the motivation for a lot of these folks. Like, you don't really find out until almost the very end why. Like, it was something with his wife. His wife is probably dead. And then as you go along with the series, and you're like, oh, okay, she just kind of walked off and disappeared, and she's presumed missing, but it's been for so long. They're pretty sure she's dead. They think it's something that Homelander did. And then by almost the very end, then you're like, oh, they smashed. Or, voluntary slash or involuntary smash, or did that. Well, some happened because there's a baby.
What made me question Billy's motivation was when Homelander actually asked, and he seemed concerned. He's like, whatever happened to Mallory? And that Madeline,
the babysitter. Well, I just keep calling her the babysitter because she's from Adventures in Babysitting.
Madeline, who I hate her face because the damn veneers just but her whole show. But he's asking her, and she's just like, "Oh, what you mean?" But he looked real concerned, like, "Really? She just disappeared. You don't know anything about it? Okay, cool." So,
well, let me ask you this: would it be as intense if, hey, you raped my wife and she killed herself, versus, hey, you and my wife fucked and she had a kid and left me? Would you? I mean, you know what I mean? Because the whole bond between him and Huey is they killed your fiance, your girlfriend. They killed my wife.
Okay, so I think it would be more of it would be a greater story if he still has this motivation that he thinks Homelander raped his wife and killed her or whatever. Obviously, we find out that's not what happened. We don't know what happened with the sex thing. But even better if Homelander actually cares for her or had a thing with her. That will put quite a twist. I don't know what happened in the comic books. The show's a whole different monster, so we'll wait and see.
I get it. I'm just curious about the emotional impact. That's all.
So, Anthony, I understand where you're coming from, but I feel like what they did with the show in terms of making it its own thing, where they did it. What this show is different in its own right is because this is not. They actually adapted the story and made their own thing. This is an adapted story. They just said, okay, these are the main characters, but this is the story we're going to tell. So I understand your apprehension because, again, with Preacher, season 1 was really good, and then we had 2, and I haven't seen it since then. And they lost their way. But I actually think this story gives them more of a room to actually tell their own story, where, you still have that emotional attachment, to Billy. Like, even though you see his wife at the end, and you're like, oh shit, that's not what happened. But then it's like, so, what what the draw is now is, what's the new motivation? What's going to happen with Billy? What is he going to, like?
Right, where do you go from here?
Where would he go from here? Because, again, his whole thing, again, with the lady before he went to find the babysitter, Mallory, that's the older lady? Yeah, the older lady,
Madeline.
Yeah, okay, so he goes to her, and she's like, well, no, the one who lamplighter killed her grandchildren.
The one at the very, very end.
Mallory.
So yeah, when he goes to Mallory, and even Mallory at this point is like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. Yes, I brought this to you. I wanted you to do this, but I've lost too much to keep going. you're going to end up losing. And so with Huey, you know, especially like he lost Huey, he's lost the other boys technically in a way, and it's so I think his story now is lost because I mean his motivation was lost in my opinion. He lost his wife. He blamed Homelander. He's lost his friends. I feel like he's going to keep blaming Homelander for everything. I think the actual villain of this show is Billy.
It is.
Yeah, it
And
is.
able to deal with loss.
So, two things. The first thing is, I think even though I haven't read any of the comics, I think I like that they steered away from the story because if you think back to The Walking Dead and how in the beginning they kind of followed along with what the story was doing. So then everybody was just kind of waiting for like, oh, this is going to be that part where they do this thing. So, and then once they did finally start veering away, then everybody was upset. Like, what is this bullshit? That's not what happened. So like they're doing their own thing up front. So at this point, you kind of know you don't know what to expect. Like you're sitting there as the book reader, you're sitting there watching just like the rest of us are watching, and it's a new experience for everybody. Even though, actually, no, I usually get pretty pissed off when they make books and stuff into movies, and I'm like, well, that didn't happen in the book. That's stupid. So,
But I
yeah,
think you're right.
It depends.
But I think you're right because when the Stillwell thing happened at the end, I was kind of like, oh, what the fuck are you going to do now? Like I had no idea, right? Because
right.
I generally like stories where you have people with no powers and you have to figure out ways. Like I think that's one of the best character things about Batman. Which how are you going to plan to take out this guy that's more powerful than you? That's you know, not just Superman or anything like that. But I like that character aspect. I think what you're saying though is trust the writing until it fails, right? So I can trust Game of Thrones until Game of Thrones gives me season 8 and 7. You know, like they haven't proved that they can't do it, and maybe it'll be a more interesting story, right? Like oh, go ahead.
No, I was like, I liken it to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Basically, they just went and did their own thing. Everybody's like, well, that didn't happen in the comics, that didn't happen, but guess what? They created their own story, and it came out fucking great. So, like you said,
I would argue that Civil War is a better version of the movie than it was in a comic book.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
I get it, and I'm just voicing. I don't sound like I'm hating on the season. I'm just like, I know where the character, like even Walking Dead, I knew where the characters ended up in the comic, and I'm like, well, you did this. I don't see how that happens here. So where are we gonna go? And in some things, it worked in Walking Dead, right? Some things they did a better job in the comic. Others they failed at. So I think that's my apprehension when you have a pretty small cast, and now I'm kind of like, all right, this is what made this character work for me. What are they going to do? And I'm not saying it hasn't worked so far. I'm just bringing my voice to apprehension. That's all.
Nah, that's a problem with keeping the books in your mind because you got to remember it's hard to translate years of pages to 1 hour.
Yeah. Okay. So the second thing, I agree with you, Mo. And like as you were talking about Billy, it kind of it put in my head the thing that I always say about specifically comic book villains and how they always like just piss me off the most because they make their own shit, right? Like they make their own trouble and all of these bad things happen to them, but it happens to them because of their own wrongdoing. But because this bad thing happened to them, they can't even focus that I caused this. And so then the shit just keeps getting ramped up. So Billy, in his quest to like seek vengeance for the death of his wife, he's lying to his crew. He's putting them in all of these fucked up situations, all for vengeance. But in his head, he's like, no, we're the good guys. We're doing this not only for my dead wife and your splattered girlfriend, but we're doing this because they have to be taken down. And yes, I think I definitely agree that Billy was the overall villain of all of this because like even when he reached out to his friend and she was like, you know what, we can give you everything you want except for Homelander. You can have an office, you have your headquarters, y'all can take all those other fuckers down. And then he went back to his you get paid. He went back to his peoples and was like, she said no, y'all.
Yeah, she was like, she said, fuck y'all, you ain't getting shit. So
Right.
we on our own.
And Mother's Milk was like, wait, she said what?
Like,
Right.
sure.
Like I got a baby, I got to feed, I got a woman. She wants some steak. One of the phone conversations, she wanted
Oh my
steak.
god, yo, she wanted seasoned tilapia. I forgot to sorry, baby, I forgot to marinate the tilapia, man. Yo, we're gonna go to that Italian place you like.
Keem, one of the things you just said made a really good point to me. I kind of feel like this is the wire of the superheroes, right? Where nobody's good or bad. You know what I mean? Like, you know how the wire, like you had cops and drug dealers, right? And stereotypically there'd be the good guys, bad guys. But the wire was like, these are just people, and the gods, which are the system, with the true gods are the system they're all stuck in, right? Even Homelander, who didn't get to choose how he was raised, didn't get to choose, how he saw his self-worth. Billy didn't get to choose how he had to bow down to this system, and how they react to it, right? That's I don't know. That's what I kind of
That's
thought.
exactly what I thought when I watched every single episode of The Wire in detail.
Never seen
The Wire.
Where's the mute
The
button?
Shield.
Can we mute him?
I watch the Shield.
But I respect the Shield. Shield.
Can I say how much I love Homelander? Like the actor that played him.
He's my favorite.
Every scene he was in is just like fucking
he
nervous as fuck. Like I was just nervous.
To watch, yes.
Yeah. I was just
I was like, y'all talking about he the good guy, he your favorite. I'm like,
Starlight, I was like, yo, she's dead.
Yeah, right.
So dead.
I was like, she's so dead.
Because I love the mystery they started him off with. Like, even when Billy was like, oh no, Homelander, nah, he's one of the good ones. He's clean as a whistle.
Doesn't do drugs.
Yeah. And you're like, okay. Until you see the plane scene, the first airplane scene with the Baltimore governor.
That man in planes.
Yeah, seriously.
Baltimore governor got a private jet. That's what I was wondering the whole time.
Right. Like, this is where all your money's going.
Mommy mayor, the mayor,
This is where all the money's going.
The mayor got a private jet.
A fucking kid is looking at like, oh my god, look, it's Homelander. Those eyes lit up. I was like, fuck, that is
nice. Not gonna be good for you, kid.
That is
He killed a kid.
He killed a kid.
A couple of
it
times.
wasn't his first kid. You knew it wasn't his first kid.
He gave a fuck.
Yeah,
but the major airplane scene.
Okay, so let's go through and find out everybody's favorite character, and then slightly real quick, medium length quick, we can kind of run down the episodes. What'd you say, Mo?
I said medium quick.
Medium quick. Yeah, we can.
Well, we didn't talk about the boys, like the individual boys yet either.
True.
Okay. All right.
No, I was trying to. No, whatever the format is.
No.
I guess
you want to take my spot, and
No,
you're not going to.
No, I don't. I talk too much.
You know what? Yeah,
I talk too much. I'm just gonna mute myself.
So
this is King's show. My bad.
Let's just go through and discuss who everybody's favorite character is, and then we can discuss the boys, and then we'll just do a quick rundown of the story itself and kind of talk about the big moments and how they left us feeling and or not feeling. And I'm sorry, I don't know why me saying feeling or not feeling just gave me a flashback of the Deep getting hands stuck in his gill.
No.
Okay, all right. So
I was like, don't you have super strength? No.
Right? Now with a whole ass hand up there.
Right. I mean, you think about it though. That man was already banished because he forced one of the newbies to give him head. So how would it look if he used his super strength to overpower this woman who was gill raping him?
There's a lot of sexual rape in this series. Even one's talked about Ice Queen, Ice Princess.
Yeah.
So segueing. Anywho, so
I can't get the vision out of my head now. You like it in your gills?
You're welcome. You're welcome. So my favorite character was I said it, Homelander, and unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but since me and Kris talk so regularly, he kind of he kind of stole my reasoning for it because he started out like you're looking at him like, okay, this man's a good dude. Like he sat down at the meeting, everybody else in the meeting, they're just being douchey assholes. And he's like, all right, fuck that noise. Tell me who you saved today. And so I'm just sitting there like, okay, Homelander, that man is all right. That's a good guy right there. And then he blows up a plane with kids on it. And then like, just like the look on his face, like after, like he just comes back like, I did what I had to do. I did what I had to do to save this company and our reputation. Like, no, we could have handled it. Like, no, you couldn't
It's
have.
all
And
about the
then
stock prices.
the second plane, that whole second plane incident, and then he like has the balls just to stand up and make this impassioned speech about how we're gonna get the bastards that did this, and you know,
Dick Cheney.
Anthony.
So I knew they were gonna have to change this in the from the show. So that plane scene was actually a flashback in the comics because that was the 9/11 plane, and they sent Homelander to stop it. And him and Maeve, the speedster before A-Train that was on the team was on that flight, and they did, but they have no training. They were pointing out that these superheroes have no training. Homelander gets tired of people screaming for help, and so he says, "Shut up." But he does it at like a super powerful frequency that he bursts all the passengers' eardrums, and then he leaves them because he gets annoyed, and Maeve tries to stop him, and he smacks her away. That's why in the comic, and like that's why she's so bitter, kind of like in the comic, but like more, I mean the show, but more. And I was like, I don't know how they're gonna put a 9/11 reference in this show.
Can't do it.
Right, and while it was more intense, I appreciate what they did in that scene.
Yeah,
it was horrifying.
Yeah, it was very horrifying.
Terrifying. Like you have all these kids crying and like begging for help, and he's just like, like
we gotta go.
No remorse. And then like on top of all of that, okay, maybe that was me echoing. On top of all of that, he fuck them kids.
He's like, what? We're gonna take them so they can tell how we just left these people to die?
Nah, we're not doing that.
And I was wondering why they took her ability to fly away from the comic. They took her ability to fly away, and I think they did it just for the scene, so she had to make that.
She had to make that call, save herself or save them kids. And then like he's super possessive over her. Like, nah, you're not going anywhere. You're not leaving me. And while he's possessive, like he's possessive over all the women in his life. So he's possessive over her, and then he's possessive over the babysitter, who's I'm just never going to remember her name. Madeline Elizabeth Shue. He's possessive over her to the point where he just stares at her through the wall and hates on her baby. Her baby.
Wait, Babysitter's Club. That's what you're talking about. Babysitter's Club. That's her.
No.
Yes. The
Adventures in Babysitting.
Adventures in Babysitting.
Yes, that's her.
Oh man. Oh, she aged well.
She did.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's why he's my favorite. Not because he's a good guy by any stretch, but just his character is so fucking ridiculous and so scary because you just don't know, is he gonna like play it cool or is he gonna do some complete wackadoodle shit that's just gonna leave you with your mouth open like he just
like the Joker. Like
you're the true hero.
Like the Joker. Like you remember how you might watch The Dark Knight and you hear that Joker background, like I don't know what it was. It was some sound in the background, like and you're like, what's gonna happen next? Yeah. That's how he made people feel. I mean, that's how he made me feel. Like
no, absolutely.
Okay, let's see. Mo, who's your favorite? I know who your favorite is.
My favorite character is the most. He's not the best character, but he's just really wholesome. Frenchie.
Yes.
That is my favorite character.
He is wholesome.
He's just really wholesome, and he's not like necessarily good, but it's just out of everyone, he could be the best person on. Like he's the best person out there.
Oh, that's real.
No,
everyone is leaning away, and he's very kind of neutral. But you can see when he meets the Asian girl, and the story he tells about his dad, and I was like, wow, that's kind of deep.
Which one? He told her My dad was a
Like
bipolar.
when he used to run away from his dad. Okay, yeah, when he used to run away from home because he couldn't stay with his dad and his mom left, and you're like me, I'm like you, and in the store. That kind of like, I think that was where I was like, yo, Frenchie's my guy. Like, that's my guy. Like, I feel you, man. I'm right here with you. No powers. I think he's a tech. He's not even a tech guy. He's just Frenchie.
He's just
Like,
there. He can cook.
and what I really love is his dynamic with Mother's Milk with MM. I just love both of them together. I think those are my favorite characters, Mother's Milk and Frenchie. But ultimately, Frenchie just a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Okay.
Can I
And
say real quick? Can I say real quick?
say real quick.
Who my favorite character really is? Young Mesmer. This man is the rapist.
Wait, what?
The Haley Joel Osment's character. Remember he had the TV show?
That's Haley Joel Osment?
That was stuck in my head all day.
Oh my God. I didn't realize that was him until just now.
You didn't know that was Haley Joel Osment?
No. Oh,
Yeah.
really?
That's
Really?
yeah.
There-
Life did something.
Really?
This man is the rapist.
He never had to work a day in his life after the age of 12. He just was like, again.
Actually,
Wow.
I feel like he did.
Future. He's on Future.
I feel
Man.
like
If you guys watch Future Man on Hulu, he's on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's on there.
But does he have to work? Or he's just thinking about the other two?
see, I don't know if he does, but I just remember a story that he wrecked his Saturn. Like his parents bought him a Saturn, and he wrecked his Saturn.
First
And
mistake.
yeah, so and I just always remember thinking, like, was he driving a Saturn because his parents wanted to keep him grounded, and they did something with his money to make sure that it would last throughout his lifetime, or did
Or
they
they
just
do something with
squander all
his
his
money.
shit and then they were like, here's a Saturn? Like,
It's like, yay, a car. Justin Bieber got a car too.
this is so cool. Also, I would watch Young Mesmer. If they did a
Hell
Young
yes.
Mesmer spinoff,
I want that show.
I would
Yeah.
be there.
There are no secrets from me.
I would never read your mind.
With the,
Commander. Bullshit.
With the Law and Order font.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now, Ant, your favorite?
I think Mo kind of took mine. I like
No, he didn't.
Frenchie.
No,
I like
Mo
Frenchie because I feel like that would be me. I feel like I would just think about ways to kill superheroes
Hell
all day
no.
long, and then I would try to help people that would try to kill me.
You're
Like-
so much more Mother's Milk. I'm sorry.
You think I'm Mother's Milk?
You're definitely Mother's Milk.
Oh,
100%.
well, Frenchie and Mother's Milk would be two of my favorite characters. I like the female of the species from the comic, but I really haven't seen that version in the show yet.
Right.
I'm not saying
And we're
that.
talking about the show.
Right. I'm not saying that she won't be that. I'm just saying I'm still waiting to see what they do with her. But if I couldn't do those, Mo did those already. I would do Huey. I like the point of the everyman coming in and being like getting the kind of be like, oh man, superheroes is my new our world religion, and oh crap, I need to think more about this. Like I can't just take stuff at face value, and so I really appreciate that he's even open at and found his strength to be like, his father's saying like, I love you, but you've never been that strong. You can't fight against this stuff. And one of the things I loved about him is when he's like, hey, you ever see an asshole rip up $45,000 because I'd have cashed that check.
So quick.
So quick.
I would have used
I
that
would have went
mobile
back and
banking
take that
app.
shit up. Like,
Because the whole time I was like, that's too low. You need at least ask for 250.
Yeah, like he's a shit negotiator.
Right.
Yeah.
But then when he ripped it up after doing his part for the spy work, I was like, yeah, I he is endearing. He's endearing to me. Also, fun fact, who's the guy that plays his dad?
Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg. So
Simon
the
Pegg.
comic version of him the visual is featured for Simon Pegg. So the writers did a really good thing by putting Simon Pegg as the father. He's too old for it now. He put Simon Pegg as the father instead of Simon Pegg as Huey, which I thought was a really cool Easter egg for people who read the book.
Another fun fact: the guy who plays Huey, is the son of Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan.
Oh,
He-
that's
he's
unfortunate.
got that Quaid mouth.
He didn't get any of those looks. He didn't get any of those looks. But I
Named
enjoyed
after
him in this
his Uncle
nonetheless.
Randy.
Right.
So Kris, was your favorite was Young Mesmer or
Yeah. No, in all reality, just like you said, Homelander, and for all the same reasons, because every scene he was in, it was just like this air of intensity. Like, fuck, what's he gonna do? Who's gonna die? Somebody's gonna die. And he does that
Now.
smug smile, like, "Hey, you're the hero." But then he goes around and lasers everybody in half.
Yo, did y'all get a
Shit.
Watchmen feel? Like from the remember Dr. Manhattan was in Vietnam and then you had the Homelander go into the terrorist
military
compound?
base and just
Was that not scary?
that was horrifying.
Terrifying.
No, that was. You know
With a
what's
smile
funny?
on his face the
And
whole
you know what's
time.
funny? I actually think the soldiers were terrified when they
Yes, they were.
They were, yeah.
Because there was a reference to that
up.
earlier where was it Bobby? Well, Bobby from Supernatural. Well, one of the governors was actually one of the governors was saying, yeah, if I was on the front line and Homelander was there, I would shit myself. And then by the end, you saw all those guys like, fuck, this dude is fucking nuts.
Foreshadowing, like, hey guys, I'll take it from here. Like,
you're the real hero.
You're the real hero.
You're the real hero.
As some poor kid is running away,
sliced
And-
right in half.
And I really want to have those conversations again with people. Everybody mind Batman vs Superman, where Superman like ran that guy that had the gun pointed to Lois Lane's head. He ran him through like 2 walls and went up in his kill and killed him. And everyone was like, "Well, he had a gun pointed at his head." And I was like, "But he's a god. He didn't need to do that. He could have heat visioned the gun. He could have caught the bullet. He could have did everything else besides kill him." I don't think you get how scary that would be if a Superman just went around killing people.
That used to be one of my nightmares. Living in society with superheroes like Superman, and they're like cops.
And again, if it's Spider-Man or Wolverine or Cyclops, a sniper could probably help you out. You know what I mean? But if it's a guy that can hear a bullet coming at him and have time to dodge it, or
hear what you're doing from anywhere in the world,
right? Or just be up in orbit and laser you down, like just shoot lasers down. Like, that's a very scary proposition. And I think one of the characters was like, yeah, I'm scared, and you should be too. You know what I mean? Like, the only thing that stops him is he cares what the public thinks.
Yeah.
And I know I keep saying it, but that's a big thing in comic books. The only thing that's really holding him back is that he cares about public perception, and we want him to care about public perception.
Yeah. But that also just means that he does all of his shitty shit in private.
Right.
Like, it might deter him from doing it right then. For instance, just taking out a senator, like just shooting a senator or the mayor of Baltimore through the wall. He just waits until you're on a plane and then shoots down the whole fucking plane with his family on it.
Better one mayor than 50,000 civilians.
He even asked Queen Maeve. He was like, "Why is it that we do this? You know, they say jump and we do it. Like, what the hell is that? They're just mud people." And he kept on referring to humans as mud people.
There's another part in the comic where he's looking at himself in the mirror and he's like, "People are your playthings. People are your." Am I wishing the comic too much?
Yes, nigga, yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You know, Anthony, check it out. Anthony, check it out. Why don't you come do the comic book show with myself and Kyle? Then you can talk about the comic book forever. Because I feel like you've been doing that on the show. Like, you've taken everything from the show and said, but there's a part in the comic book where he does this. What about me?
Fucking up the content for another show.
Okay, fine. I will stick to the show and leave my departures from literature to the graphic novel, to the comic book, to that other discussion.
But thank you for the background.
No problem. Fun fact.
Really?
No.
Like, because if you keep on, I'm going to tip your beer over the next time there's a hangout, and I'm just going to give you bottled water.
Why though?
Okay,
I'm also a superhero.
Right now, he just reminded me of Homelander going crazy over the blanket. Fucking why? Who did this?
Who put this
Ben.
blanket here? Okay.
Seriously,
Randy from is
I was
freaking Randy
scared
from
for
Set
everybody.
Deck.
I was like, Homelander about to torch. I thought he was about to torch
Homelander was
everybody
about to fuck.
with the house.
Why, Randy? Why? Fucking Randy from Set Deck.
Oh gosh.
Yo,
Okay.
Did anybody talk about Randy again ever? Did Homelander kill Randy? I feel like Homelander killed
No,
Randy.
they fired him.
Randy.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
Homelander probably
No,
went back
actually,
to
they
kill
said
him later.
Randy was terminated. They didn't say if he was fired. Randy
Yeah,
was
Homelander-
terminated.
And Homelander was like, "Yes, I hope his life is probably fucked up." He probably still found him. He probably still found him and did some unknown. He
And
probably just picked him up and dropped him in Anarchy and said, "Hey, welcome me back. We're cool."
dropped him on the blanket, like, oh, the blanket didn't break your fall.
Can we pour out a quick shot for our homeboy that got faced, literally?
Which one is that?
The one who was eating out Pop Claw's ass.
Yeah.
Pour one out for the homie.
Go. Gotta go.
No, not in that way.
You gotta go.
Not in that way. With ass in your face.
No, not like that, bro.
If you gotta go.
Not like this.
Not like this.
Not like that.
Okay, so
Like
so the
this.
boys.
Mm-hmm.
So first we have Huey, who is the newest member of the boys, and so he starts out as kind of this real spineless jellyfish that just knows shit about technology. He's scared to even ask his boss for a raise, even though he's probably the best thing to happen, like, for that store.
Way overqualified.
Yeah. And he gets kind of, so I'm going to try to work this all in with the summary of the show too, for the sake of time, so it's not like 5 hours. Probably should have done this in episodes. But yeah, so he kind of gets thrown into all of this because his girlfriend is giving him this pep talk about how he should stand up for himself, and they should move in together, and they're having like this really sweet heart to heart, and then all of a sudden you just see red, like just red spray everywhere. And it takes a minute after the camera like pans out and zooms around and you're trying to figure out what happened. His girlfriend just ran through, literally, not in the dirty, not in the nasty sense.
Ran through by black.
He smashed her. He smashed her.
She got smashed by the A train. She got a train ran on her.
Oh, Keem. Oh,
So-
One thing I like about that is there's always these books about how, like, if superheroes were real, every time the Flash went by you, you would die. And I like how they just kind of put the real physics in there, like.
Yeah, he didn't even run by. He just.
Real quick on that, the whole real physics things with the plane scene when Maeve is telling Homelander to go outside and lift the plane up. He's like, "What am I going to lift it up? It's air."
Nothing for me to stand on.
It's like I'm going to go right through the plane if I, put pressure on the hull. But yeah, that was a nice touch.
I was watching it with a friend, and they were like, "It was like, what? Superman does it all the time." I was like, "Yeah." Yeah, that actually doesn't make any sense. If you tried to grab a plane and put equal pressure to stop it, you would probably just run straight through the plane or break a plane in half, depending on how you touched it with it.
Like trying to lift your car without using a jack point.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way at all. And I like he's like, "No, they did. They just did. I would probably just crash through the plane."
So that is also our first introduction to A-Train, because he's the one that just collided with the girlfriend. I can't even say collided. He just decimated her.
I feel, damn, Keem.
He did.
I feel he wrecked her. He wrecked her is what you're trying to say.
No, he wrecked that shit.
Because the blood,
he destroyed her.
I feel like he only stopped because the blood clogged his goggle.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then he just kind of stopped for a second and was like, can't stop, sorry. Like the rabbit in Alice in Wonderland, like I'm late. And then he just kept going.
To be fair, if you're digging an errand for Homelander, you're probably not gonna stop either.
Also true, because that nigga's crazy. Um,
But what makes what he did worse is that is when they go to the bar and Billy pulls up the tape. He's like, I ran through her again.
I swallowed her molar.
I was like, yo,
Ew.
yeah, and then they just look at each other
but
and
yeah,
start
like-
laughing.
and they're laughing about it.
No, insult to injury is this. She was in the middle of the street. And he's like, dude, just say sorry. Just say sorry and I could drop this whole thing.
No,
No.
can't do that because
Mike-
that
You
would
know,
admit
but-
fault.
My condolences,
My-
thoughts and prayers.
Ezekiel, though,
Yep.
Huh?
my man's Ezekiel was getting the
Yeah.
deluxe.
The preacher guy.
triple deluxe.
Oh!
I just
Yeah, she's like, "Ah."
like there were arms stretching and rapping, and I was like, now that is a reach around. That's
hey, if you ever see the
you're stuck
Fantastic
with me,
Four,
Kris. Just stop it. Stop looking embarrassed.
if you see the Fantastic Four, we've all thought it.
I had never thought it
Yes.
ever.
Oh, thanks, Mo. Thanks for being honest, Mo. We all thought it. Like, I see why she stays him.
Like,
Miss
Mr. Fantastic, like, what can you do?
Sue Storm, he ignores you all the time. He's so focused on his research. Why do you stay with him?
You know, girl.
Let me show you something.
right.
Like,
Um,
and that's not the rest of it.
So, do you think that he was the Mr. Fantastic? Is that who he was supposed to be?
Well, you know, DC has what, Mr. Elastic? No, Elastic Man,
They have Plastic Man,
Plastic Man,
Elegant-
Elongated Man. Yeah.
Sorry,
Grow up.
elongated.
Wait, how are you making all these jokes?
Right.
We gotta be on our best behavior, and Keem is the one who usually tells us to stop.
Because it's my show.
Oh, I see. See, I see why Homeland is your favorite character now. The power.
Yep.
Power.
Oh my god.
Okay, so sorry, Mo.
I am gonna say that episode though, when it got to the whole religious retreat thing, the religious rock concert thing, that's what turned me whole around and stopped me complaining about the differences in the comic book. I was like, I can feel this show right now.
That was
good.
the best part of the show.
I knew you were going to appreciate that.
I was like, yes, question all this. Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so this is where Huey really gets like brought into the whole fold of the boys, because he's pissed off because he knows the truth about what happened to his girlfriend, and the media and Vought, they're basically just trying to cover it up and look like, oh, you know, this was just a really big mistake, and oh well, he's a hero, he saves all these other lives, we're just going to move on. And so what ends up happening is he gets approached by Billy Butcher, you know, just to basically say, I know that story is bullshit, and you just need to.
She was one step off the curb.
Yeah,
Right.
not even a step off the curb, like a half a step off the curb. And he's, you know, he's like, so, but you can help us do something about this. You can get vengeance for your girl. And so at first, you know, Huey, he's spineless and just like, no, it's okay. No, I don't really want to be bothered with that. What happens that changes him and makes him decide, like, no, I want to.
So
just
Butcher.
think-
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, well, in the streets, he thought about it because Butcher was walking away, and then he followed him. He just followed him to the club.
And it was tape, right?
Right. And then later, when he after he did everything with the shaking the hands and stuff, what do you call it? Invisible Man, Translucent attacked, and shit went downhill from there.
Yeah, that shocked me.
Wasn't it when he saw the? Hadn't he seen the tape at that point? At the
No.
bar, he had seen the tape.
Yeah, he saw the tape at the bar, and that's why he decided
At the
to.
bar. That's where he decided to join up with Billy, and he went to the shake. And man, that fight at the Trike store was retarded.
That
Billy's
was
crazy. I would have slapped somebody if they spit blood on me.
Oh,
Like, I gotta kill you.
number
So
one.
that threw
Don't
me off.
spit your blood on me.
How much
Like, you're
blood
dead.
did he spit?
Right.
Like,
Cause
I'm saying it was so much.
So again, I'm gonna make a comic book reference, but it's only because I'm telling my experience of the show. It shocked me because I was like, "Why is Butcher losing this fight right now?" And
This, you know what this is, Ant? Go ahead. Go on.
I was just gonna say that I appreciated that they used oh, you're invisible. Let me spit blood on you so I can see you. Because because I was wondering how they were gonna. Don't drag my beard, Keem. I'm trying, Keem. But yeah, I think that was a really good introduction for Huey to see the underbelly of the superhero society and to realize. Also, at this point, like I like how in the background there's always some superhero like media in the background or merchandise or something like that to
That's
show
their
that
whole life.
right they are the football teams and the basketball teams of their world. You know what I mean? But except they have this whole they're all supposed to be Captain Americas.
Hey, real quick. So, like,
Yeah.
can I ask you guys a question? So, if you're translucent in the afterlife, thinking about how you died, how upset would you be? Like,
That you got packed.
You literally got your back blown out because that's what happened.
Hey, don't fuck with Frenchmen. Don't fuck with Frenchmen. They will.
Now, I
Yo.
mean, but let's be honest. Haven't we all wanted to like shove an explosive up somebody's rectum? Just hit the
What?
detonator.
No.
Just me?
No.
But because you said that, I'm not judging. I support your dreams and hopes, Keem. I fully
appreciate
support,
that.
and I hope I'm on the other side of the blast
Hey,
shield
real
when
quick.
you realize.
Write this down.
What's up, Mo?
A more serious question. Was Homelander really concerned about Translucent? Like, does he have a different relationship with Translucent than he has with everybody else? Because he seemed to be the most concerned with Translucent, rather than he just or is he just being a leader and like, okay, this is my team, I still got to look out for everybody, or just like, because he didn't really care about, say, like A-Train. He didn't like, okay, you're doing drugs, stop doing drugs, that's it. And he let that go, but he was on Translucent. I was about to say he was on Translucent's ass, but I can't really say.
I think it was because he was missing, and they know the kind of debauchery he gets into. So
right, I think because he even said it, attack on him is an attack on me.
Yeah,
attack on the team is attack on me. And I also think at that point in time in the series, he was looking to prove that he was more than just a showpiece.
Right.
So,
okay.
I have a mission. I'm going to do this mission. Nobody else thinks it's important or thinks I can do it, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Okay. And nobody else was like taking it seriously. Like, we haven't seen Translucent in some days, and they're like, we're sure he's around. He's like, no, I'm gonna take care of it myself. I'll find him.
He's jerking off in some bathroom somewhere. It's cool.
Yeah, he's probably in the bathroom jerking.
Number one, did homie just hang out in the bathrooms all day? Because every
Apparently.
time
that was in his downtime. He's just there, butt ass naked, seeing what's going down.
It's funny because if the bathrooms are like if you know there are no gender bathrooms,
they're co-ed. Yeah,
co-ed bathrooms. He was in there for as many men as he was in there for women too. So Translucent was.
Hey, I do not judge people's kinks, or no, sexuality of their kinks.
But he wasn't getting consent to look at any of those people, so that's a judge-worthy cause.
Mm-hmm.
Also, judging unisex bathrooms should have a full stall, like block out.
There should be some kind of privacy factor there.
Yes.
So one of my friends had a question, and I think I answered it okay, but I guess I can run it by to see what y'all think. So he was like, so even when Translucent was in the cage, even when they like shocked him and incapacitated him so that they could insert the explosive, He's like, they couldn't see him. So how did they know what to do? And I was just like,
They felt around.
Oh, they were
feel
probably
your way around.
He's in a cave.
Yeah. And he was like, but he was still invisible. I'm like, I mean, you know what an asshole feels like, right? They felt their way around.
I mean,
He
they
went up.
poured something on him.
If you felt the
for a
shaft,
purpose.
you went too far this way. If you felt some balls, you're closer.
Follow the trail. Oh, okay. Okay. I totally forgot.
Welcome to our podcast, people.
Welcome to Earth 2.
Oh Lord.
We would also find new jobs at Earth 3. You don't know why.
Okay, so basically what ends up happening is Billy Butcher convinces Huey that he needs to sign the non-disclosure agreement and take the check. But while he's in there at VOT headquarters, he needs to plant this surveillance device so that's like all he has to do is plant the surveillance device, and then the boys, or actually at this point the boy, because it's really just Billy, he can kind of figure out what they're up to and find out what treachery is afoot. But what ends up happening is while Huey's in the bathroom taking the little sticky back off of the device, he drops it and then he picks it up. But pervy ass Translucent is in the bathroom, so he sees what happens.
He's like, what's going on? What is that?
Which is such a weird question for a naked nigga hanging out in the bathroom.
Like the fuck up.
Spying on other people.
Like,
what is that about?
Irony.
So he, walking through the hallways naked, follows Billy back to the boardroom and sees him do whatever he's doing, and ends up following Huey. What did I say, Billy?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Huey.
Yeah, Huey.
Ends up following Huey and Billy back to where Huey's job is. Huey makes this speech like, you want to see what $45,000 ripped up looks like, so he rips up the check because he just feels like he's
hurt my heart.
Have we talked about that? Because I'm looking at you rip that check like that's a whole $40,000 check, bro. Like
that $45,000.
That's what got to the realm of disbelief for me.
Like,
because I was like, this some friends apartments stuff. This some friends apartments in New York stuff. I don't understand what's going on here. And then you got no job. How you taking people on dates? How you got to afford a hotel room, nigga?
That's the part that hit the realm of disbelief, not the fact that a man was flying.
No,
Uncanny Valley.
Yeah. So he goes back in and thinks everything is cool. His boss leaves. He hears the door open behind him. He's like, we're getting ready to close. But then he like looks up and there's nobody there. So this is when Translucent tries to fuck him, actually starts fucking him up.
Kill him.
Whoa.
Like, you think I didn't see your little device?
With a 7.
So he's like hitting him with TVs and shit and throwing him across the building. And just when you think, well, okay, I thought he was going to be one of the main characters, but clearly he's about to die. You see a car crash through the front window, and it's Billy coming to save the day, smacks Translucent with the car, and then they get into this epic fight scene where it starts out where Billy can't quite get his bearings or whatever because you can't see the dude you're fighting, but after getting punched in the mouth a few times, he's able to spit blood on him so that he can see what's happening.
And Translucent doesn't mean invisible.
That's what cracked me up. And so Billy and Hugh are able to incapacitate Translucent by electrocuting him. So then they throw him in the trunk of the car and they ride over to an old friend's house. And this is where we are introduced to Frenchie.
You forget, electrocute him in the ass.
That man's poor ass.
It took a pound.
It took a pounding. Such a shocking turn of events.
Okay, stop. Keep it moving. Gosh,
it could have been
Gonna punish us to death.
Pause.
So they go to Frenchie, and apparently Billy still owes Frenchie money he owes him $40,000.
Yeah.
And so like when Frenchie said that, like you gonna walk in here like
not too long ago.
like you couldn't have asked, did you pick up that check and tape that shit back together to be like, hey,
Right. Here's your money.
This is for you with an extra $5,000 for the trouble. So Billy ends up telling Frenchie, we got translucent fucked up in the trunk. Actually, no, he says, I have a present for you in the trunk. And then when Frenchie goes and looks, he's like, what? Holy shit. And the way that Frenchie ends up getting back on the team is because Billy pretty much tells him, hey, I brought him here to your hideout and they're all microchipped. Like there's trackers on all of them. So.
And he saw your face.
Yeah, he saw your face. They're going to know that he's here. So you might as well come fuck with us. And let's figure out how we can torture and kill this man.
Side note, that's how we not boys no more. Because I'm going to call the police on you right there. Because you're already like, you're already switched. Don't bring nobody. So you can came to my front door and say,
with a
look,
tracker.
Like, look, you can come say, hey, man, I need some lye, a shovel, a bucket, maybe some trash bags. All right, here. Now, if you come to my door, it's like, hey, man, I just killed this guy on like last night at 9 p.m. Like, you messed me up too much.
Hello.
Yeah.
You asked for a bunch of stuff.
Looking like that meme, the black guy in the blue shirt. Because we not doing it.
No.
Yes, police. This is dog.
Right. I had nothing to do with it.
Right. So basically from there, they're trying to figure out what exactly they can do to punish and kill Translucent. As I think we've already stated, after a bit of trial and error, they figure out anal is the way to go.
Right.
Words you will probably never hear me say again. And so it actually ends up being Hugh that kills Translucent because what happens is Homelander is just so like hell-bent on finding his team member that he's flying around and like they see him and so they're like, well, all that really needs to happen is Translucent screams or yells and he hears it and then we're all dead. So Billy and Frenchie are outside trying to, I'm not sure exactly what they were doing in the van, but they were trying to figure some stuff out.
And in that distracting Homelander.
Yeah, they were setting off a remote detonator.
Okay. Yeah, so in that time, Translucent gets out of his cage that he was being kept in, and Billy almost let him go. And and then for whatever reason,
Huey,
damn it. Huey almost let him go, and for whatever reason.
DuckTales.
I
think DuckTales.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Yes.
Right.
He hits the detonator and
Did he escape? I thought he escaped out the cage.
He escaped?
Yeah, he threw his pistol in the battery and then the thing opened up, which I was thinking the whole time. Like if you alone.
Now thought of this? Like
yeah. And so what I liked about that is everybody seen Saving Private Ryan where the point where the German guy kills the guy and then the guy that's scared didn't do anything. He like walks by him real quick. That's the whole time I kept thinking about that. He was like, nope, you went too far.
Yeah, because Translucent is like, you ain't gonna do shit. I know you're kind. Nah, you ain't gonna do shit. I'm out of here. And so that's when you could kind of always see the switch like flipping in Huey, like because he's got like this anxiety thing that keeps happening. And I think that's just when he went full tilt. It was like, okay, I'm done. So
wait, you're invisible, right?
It is.
Why couldn't he just take the detonator out of his own butt?
How far up there was it?
That's a good question.
Because you can only reach so far up your own ass, I'm pretty sure. Like
Oh, actually, Frenchie also said that if he reaches up to try to take it out, it'll automatically go off.
Yeah.
Oh, he was dead no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that is
okay.
troubling. So Huey blows up Translucent. Frenchie and Billy come back in. Did they ever get any information out of him?
yes,
Yeah.
that's how they found out about Popclaw.
What's the name? Popcorn. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so they get the information out of him about the what was that drug?
Compound V.
Compound V.
I was
Could have
thinking
had a
Blue
V8.
Sky.
And I was thinking V9 because most said V9 earlier. Yeah, so they get that information out of him. So then that's when they go to Mother's Milk because he's another key component that they felt like they could get other information, like he could help them.
He's the information guy.
Yeah. So yeah, really, what? I guess Frenchie was just like the jack of all trades. He's just like there to like to do whatever and make crepes and popovers.
His girl was nice too. Frenchie's girl seemed like competent as fuck.
Yeah, she was real chill about everything. Like, okay, well, gonna blow this one up. I was comfortable here.
Right.
Yeah, so we get there. So now basically the whole crew is assembled, and you find out that Mother's Milk really wants absolutely nothing to do with Frenchie or Billy because, well, number one, he's got this really great relationship and he's not trying to fuck it up, and his wife hates Billy with a passion, apparently spits on the ground every time his name is said. And he does not like the way Frenchie always goes off script. And every time Frenchie goes off script, things get fucked up. So he didn't want to be a part of the team, but you know, when you find out that your boys killed a superhero with a bomb up the bum, you kind of got to stay around.
Would you like to know more?
Right. Like, wait, you said what, fam? Okay.
What'd you
got
do?
it. You got it.
So I think the thing I liked about Mother's Milk was his sense of number one, his sense of optimism, because when we meet him, he's what is he running, like a halfway house or something?
Yeah.
And he's trying to do like a rehabilitation program for at-risk, not necessarily youth, but you know, they're kind of on the older side of at-risk youth. And every time he turns around, they are just fucking each other up in the background. And he's like, hey, like he's still trying to keep them on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because it looked like he was in a juvenile detention, like he was in juvie, like he was like one of the guards or ran the unit for juvie. And I was like, did he just quit his job? Did he not go there? He got bills to pay. Right. Throwing away money. Like,
how are any of them paying bills?
Right.
Yeah. I'll tell you what happened. They went back and got that $40,000. That's what happened.
No, like Keem said earlier, he really took a picture of that and did deposit.
Right. Picture deposit. I got that
mobile deposit.
Because the only person that they had an income was Frenchie. Frenchie got independent. His girl out there making money, I'm assuming.
That's true.
So true.
Like everybody else. And then, you know, Mother's Milk's wife wants steaks and Caesar tilapia and stuff like that. Who is... No, sorry.
Vacation days?
Maybe. But see, I think that's one of the things about TV show. That's what I want to get right. Like, look, man, I can help you between when my shift starts. My shift starts at 6:00. So
right.
I got to get some sleep in there before that, and then lunch. You got 2 hours. We got 2 hours.
Like, and we got a meeting that I have to be at in person. I can't just phone that in. So
that's why Spider-Man's my favorite hero, because he has real shit.
Right, I gotta get bus money, nigga. Like this web food ain't cheap.
Okay, guys. So we have been talking for probably a good 2 hours now. Yeah. Do you want to split this up into 2 parts and come back either tomorrow night or Thursday? Yeah. Thursday night to finish up, or
I'm game for either day. I think Thursday works better for me, but I guess the rest of the guys.
I question what you just said, Mo. Anyway, yeah, whatever works for y'all.
Yeah, sure. My legs are getting tired.
Thursday works fantastic for me, but
are you,
I
Kris?
mean,
Are you
because I feel like
squatting?
there's
Are
so
you
much
just
more
squatting in
stuff.
front of the?
How did you know? I'm just. There is no chair here. I've just been squatting the whole time.
Man, his
Wrap this up.
calves must be steel by now.
And then every time Ant says, "Well, in the comic book," and he's like, "No." Okay, all right, everyone. So what we're gonna do is, I think we're going to we're just gonna stick a pin in it right here, and we're gonna come back on Thursday. So I guess you guys will see this if you're watching live Thursday night, or
Next
well,
time on Dragon
Friday.
Ball Z.
Yeah, definitely Friday, because and also there's gonna be the audio version of this. So if you don't have time to watch this, if you want to listen to the podcast, this is also gonna go on the podcast. So thank you, Keem, for hosting. This was awesome.
Hosting,
Yeah,
owning.
you gotta close it out. My bad. This is your show.
I'm about to say, who are you?
Well then, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on Earth 2
Gentlemen.
KimaCast. As always, thank you, Ant. Thank you, Mo. Thank you, newcomer Kris.
You're welcome.
Oh,
Hey,
God.
Kris, you sticking around? You sticking around for more? You coming back?
Sure, I'll be back. If you'll
No,
have me.
that voice you not. I need y'all to edit some bass into that.
This is his alter ego.
Right? He got to keep his superhero identity secret just in case the boys come after him.
Right.
We know what you get up to.
Keep it down, nigga. Keep it down. Okay. All right. So we will see you guys later on this week. Earth 2 out.
Peace.
Peace.